Here's the rough idea of what the hole planter thing is going to look like. It's going to be made out of some wood. Sides, the left and right sides are going to be 2x4s probably, just what I have on hand, the easiest thing to do. And then the bottom and the top are going to be, I don't know, 1/2 inch or 1 inch by 6 inch or so, or maybe 8 inch, because this bin is what's going to be recessed in there. You can see here it's going to recess below the top surface. I think it'll make it look cleaner. And then I can put a cover over this if I really want to. Probably won't, because I'd like to use this area and down here and this side as well for storage of my electronics or whatever, you know, because electricity and water work so well together. But I'm just going to start building it and we'll see what it looks like at the end. In case you're curious as to what I'm up to, I cut this piece of plywood. I decided plywood over the other wood because simply it was the biggest piece I could get. I didn't have any that I thought would be big enough. Probably could have been, but it would have been low support. But I roughly drew up where I'm going to cut it for the bucket to go into. And now I'm going to drill a hole in each corner, probably cut it in half because this support here, so that then I can use a jigsaw and go all around the edge, cut out the center. And you'll see what that looks like in just a bit. Here you see the rough cutout, obviously not sanded or anything, but I don't know if I want to take like a router to do the corners. I don't know if I have the bit for that. It would just be like a straight edge, and also I don't know how it would turn out, but I can try it. Otherwise, I don't know, sand it, use the jigsaw, get it the corners down a little bit more, because that's quite a bit of material there. Otherwise, I don't know, I'll figure out a way. So here it is all cut out. It looks pretty bad, to be honest. Like there's these big gaps where I tried to use the router. The router did not work because I used the wrong bit and I tried to force it. I didn't have the right bit I needed. So just gonna have to work with it. I don't really have the scrap to, or the wood to redo this right now. Maybe I will in the future, probably not though, I'm gonna be honest. But my plan is I'll just screw these in so the edges are all flat. Probably 2 screws, 1 on either side here, and then 2 on this side as well. Maybe 1 on the back, probably not really necessary. And then I'll just take epoxy and I'll epoxy the edges here, fill in those holes, and then I'll just paint the whole thing. I would have liked to keep the wood look of it, but I think I screwed up too much for that, so I'll just have to live with it. Probably won't paint it anytime soon because it's still cold and wet outside, and I just use spray paint. So it'll probably look like trash, and let's be honest, if I don't paint it now, then I probably will never paint it, so. And here it is, all put together. It didn't turn out too bad. It's touching the bottom. It's a lot shorter than I originally intended to make it, just because it would be simpler, and I decided I didn't really need that much shelving storage, which was the main reason I was going to make it that tall in the first place. But yeah, this didn't take very long at all to do. These gaps, I said I was going to use epoxy, but I realized I had wood filler. So I'm just going to use that. Looks delicious. So I'll scoop it on up and put it all in here, pack it in, and show you what it looks like after. But the putty turned out pretty nicely. Probably gonna let it dry and then put another small layer on. And then just a little bit here in the corners. Just because that's where I use the jigsaw. And then just to clean up the edges a little bit. And like I said before, this is all gonna be painted anyway, so it doesn't really matter where it all is. What it looks like right now. But yeah, it's looking good so far. Here's the painted, that's right, painted, I don't know what to call it, cactus garden, I guess, cactus pot, I don't know, but all that's important is that it is painted. I was thinking of either doing it all black, but I knew all white wasn't going to be good because it would just be too plain and you'd be able to see every little imperfection. So I did all white and then sprinkled some green on it, which I thought turned out alright, not too bad. It looked better in my head. I don't know. I might add more to it or redo it or something. Probably won't. I'm happy with what it looks like right now. Does a pretty good job of hiding any imperfections. I mean, obviously you're going to be able to see the seam here, but in person it's a lot harder to see than it is on camera because the camera's picking up all the glare. Like, that's closer to what it looks like in person. I have slots cut out already for the sensors, so they just slide right in there, just like that. They're about 1.5 inches off the bottom of the bucket. There's going to be roughly 1/2 inch of rocks here, and then soil above it. And I want the sensors right near the bottom of the soil, so that, like, the soil is pretty dry by the time they get watered again, because that way, one, it prevents mold. It helps prevent mold from growing, and then two, you don't want to constantly be soaking your plants. I mean, maybe you do, I don't know. I'm not a botanist or anything like that, so I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like you'd want to be soaking your plants. And these are cacti, so they don't really need water all the time. So I think lower down will be plenty. That way, because the water will be at the bottom and it'll be sensing that water. One more thing about the sensors, there's going to be obviously the 2 of them, and they're in opposite corners of the tank, just because that way they're kind of as far apart as they can be and able to detect as much ground as possible. And in the future, maybe I'll make a program so, like, there's a water pump for this side and a water pump for this side, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I'm going to make sure that this sits level in its final resting spot, so that I don't have to worry about water pooling in this corner or something like that. Also, I'm probably going to hot glue all around the edges of the sensor, obviously to prevent water from getting out, and also to protect all the electronics on this side. I'm thinking this might not be the front. I don't know, can't really decide yet which one I want to be the front. Maybe this side, because then also I'll have the entire system sitting up here. So I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, that'll probably be the end of this video. There might be a part 2 for the build. I don't think there will be, but as of right now, there should be the program, the wiring, this build, and then there will be a repotting of it or something, maybe. I don't know if I will do that because it'll be really short and kind of boring. We'll see.